Hello, and welcome to this edition of Eat Right with Rouses. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker. So very glad to be joined by our favorite dietitian, April Sins with Rouses. Hi, April, how are you?
Hi, Keith. How are you today?
I am very well, and I have to tell you, the most fond childhood memory that I have of any holiday is homemade bread.
Yes, it's so much fun to make, especially like when you have a little bit of extra time during the holidays. Really fun to get the kids involved in making homemade bread as well. And you can kind of do like a little bit of a science experiment too, whenever you're putting yeast into the bread and then seeing how it rises and things. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
so
cool.
That's what we're going to be making today. So I thought it would be really fun to sort of combine bread and fruit and just a lot of flavors. So we're going to be making a grape focaccia bread. So yeah, this recipe is definitely for our bakers in the audience. And if you're not, used to baking, this is a really easy recipe to just whip up and have some homemade bread at home as well. So I know some of you love to make some things from scratch. And I usually bring some really simple recipes. But if you find that you might be looking for a more hands-on recipe, this one might be the one for you for the holidays. So we're going to be making the focaccia bread with grapes in it. And just to give you a background, the definition of focaccia bread is an Italian flatbread made with yeast, olive oil, and herbs. That's basically what focaccia bread means. Okay. So today, of course, we're going to be using our favorite Rouse's olive oil in this recipe. We're also going to be using some rosemary for the herb. And this bread is great paired with wine, cheese as an appetizer, or maybe even having it as a side bread with dinner, or it could be a breakfast bread. So really simple recipe. So we're going to go ahead and put some ingredients together, and I'm just going to show you the condensed version because, of course, we don't have time to make the whole bread while we're on here. Sure. But what we're going to be using today is we're going to be using some, we're going to put 1 egg. And I have a mixer right here. You do not have to have a fancy mixer to make this. You can totally whip this up by hand. I have some salt. It's 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. I have some chopped fresh rosemary right here. And I'm going to be adding that. That's going to go inside of the bread. Okay. And then we're also going to be adding in 1/4 of a cup of some Rouse's olive oil in here. Now, one thing I wanted to show you is I have a yeast dish right here. This is my yeast, sugar, and warm water put together. And if you want to make, and I put it together, it bubbled up, like it's only till right here, but it bubbled up that much. I usually make sure that I check my temperature of the water, because if it's not the right temperature, it can ruin the yeast. So 110 degrees tends to work for me as a good temperature for the yeast to be able to make the bread rise. Yes.
Okay. The bread will rise at 110.
Yes. Yes. So basically you put all of the wet ingredients into your mixer, and then we're going to add 3 cups of flour, and you just add it slowly into your mixer. And like I said, you can actually do this by hand if you want, or you can use your mixer, and it's going to be really thick. So by the time this is finished mixing, I'm going to have to kind of finish mixing it by hand anyway. Okay. So that's basically how you put that together. And I'm going to show you, I have a dough that's already ready. Now what you're going to do is put your dough in the contents of this bowl into a greased bowl and cover it. Let it rise. And then we're going to have a nice dough right here. I have some that's already ready to roll out. And what I think is so fun is kids love this. You can let them have some fun, put a little bit of flour, and let them knead the dough, okay? And they will love it. It's so much fun. It's such a great hands-on activity for the whole family to get involved in. Even if you want to make your homemade pizza dough or something like that at home, that would be a fun thing to do too. So great activity for the family. Now, once you have that all flattened out and kneaded out, you can flatten it out on a sheet pan. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some chopped grapes, okay? Chopped fresh grapes. Okay. I'm going to put them on the top of this flatbread, and I'm just going to press it down. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm just going to press it down in there. Oh. I'm going to top this with a little bit of olive oil on the top. And I also have a little olive oil on the bottom because it makes your crust really crispy if you have some on the bottom.
Sure.
I'm going to bake this at 375 for 23 to 27 minutes, depending on your oven. And I'm going to show you how it's going to come out. Keith, look at this, miracle of television.
Well,
and it comes out this beautiful focaccia bread. And my son just asked me, he's home from school today, and he just asked me, when was I going to be finished with this segment? Because he wants a piece of that bread.
He's a man after my own heart, I can tell you. And so it's so wonderful to see how easy that is.
Yeah.
Once you, because even I can add stuff to the mixer like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. You can pair this with some Rouse's cheese tray. You can find this in the cheese section at Rouse's. We have lots of different types of cheeses. We also have cheeses in the deli. And I think that this is a great pairing together with the grapes, the cheese, the bread. It makes such a nice, flavorful and really delicious, perfect for family gatherings or for an appetizer, so yeah.
Or
really
anything. And you could, like you said, that's breakfast option as well. I mean, there's so many uses for that. And it is beautiful, and it is wonderful to see that the mixer that you have. Very nice mixer, by the way. And so wonderful, wonderful stuff. So April, that's a great idea for homemade bread that you can do with the kids, and very, very simple. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Keith.
All right. And that will do it for this particular segment of Eat Right with Rouse's. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming here on HTV.